What if the real secret to success isn't talent, luck, or even intelligence, but discipline? Imagine waking up each day fully in control of your actions, no longer ruled by distractions, procrastination, or fleeting emotions. How different would your life look? Introduction. Welcome to Audiobook Caps, where we break down powerful books into life-changing insights. Today, we're diving into How to Lead a Disciplined Life by Damon Zahariades. Zahariades is known for his no-fluff, practical approach to self-improvement. And in this book, he lays out exactly how ordinary people can build extraordinary discipline. This isn't about rigid rules or military-style living. It's about mastering your habits, reshaping your environment, and developing the mental toughness to follow through on your goals. If you've ever struggled with procrastination, inconsistency, or lack of focus, this book will show you why discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. And in this summary, we'll unpack the core principles so you can start applying them to your life right away. Chapter 1. Discipline is a skill, not a trait. Most people think self-discipline is something you're either born with or not. Some imagine it's like eye color, fixed, unchangeable, and out of your control. Damon Zahariades flips that idea on its head. He argues that discipline isn't a gift. It's a skill, just like learning to ride a bike, play an instrument, or cook a meal. And that's good news because it means anyone can develop it with practice. Think about it this way. When you were a kid, you weren't magically good at brushing your teeth or tying your shoes. You learned through repetition until it became second nature. Discipline works the same way. Every time you push yourself to follow through, whether it's finishing a workout, sticking to a budget, or turning off Netflix to get some sleep, you're strengthening your discipline muscle. Zahariades also reminds us that discipline doesn't require perfection. You don't have to transform overnight. The key is small, consistent actions. Each little choice you make builds momentum. Over time, you become the kind of person who follows through, not because you're special, but because you trained yourself to. The big takeaway? Stop believing discipline is something other people just have. It's a skill you can build, no matter where you're starting from. With practice, patience, and persistence, you can create the kind of discipline that changes your life. Chapter 2. Clarity of purpose creates direction. Discipline without direction is like running on a treadmill. You're working hard but not actually getting anywhere. Damon Zahariades points out that one of the main reasons people struggle with self-discipline is that they don't really know what they want. They have vague wishes like get healthier or be more productive, but without a clear destination, it's easy to lose motivation and fall back into old habits. Clarity of purpose gives you a powerful why. It's the reason behind the effort. When you know exactly what you're aiming for, discipline feels less like punishment and more like a tool to help you get there. For example, instead of saying, I want to save money, a clear purpose would be, I want to save $10,000 in the next 12 months so I can travel to Europe. That kind of specific vision turns discipline into an exciting challenge rather than a chore. Zahariades also suggests writing down your goals and breaking them into smaller, actionable steps. The clearer your plan, the less room there is for procrastination or confusion. When you wake up each day knowing exactly what to do, discipline becomes easier. You're not fighting yourself. You're simply following the map you created. The bottom line? If you want to build lasting discipline, start by defining your purpose. Without clarity, discipline feels like a grind. With it, every disciplined action feels meaningful. Chapter 3. Small habits build big discipline. When we think of discipline, we often imagine huge acts of willpower, running a marathon, building a business, or completely changing our lifestyle overnight. Damon Zahariades reminds us that's not how real discipline is built. Instead, it's the little habits, repeated daily, that make the biggest difference. Think about brushing your teeth. It's such a small act, but over years it protects your health and prevents costly problems. The same principle applies to discipline. Skipping dessert today, reading 10 pages before bed, or setting your phone aside for 30 minutes to focus may feel minor in the moment, but these choices compound over time. Small, consistent actions create momentum, and that momentum strengthens your ability to follow through on bigger goals. Zahariades stresses that starting small is actually smarter than going big. If you try to completely overhaul your life in a week, you'll likely burn out and give up. But if you focus on mastering one tiny habit at a time, like drinking more water, walking 10 minutes a day, or journaling each morning, you train yourself to succeed. Each win builds confidence, and that confidence fuels bigger wins. The key idea here is that discipline isn't built in giant leaps, it's built in daily steps. Every small choice either reinforces your discipline or weakens it. Stack enough positive habits together, and suddenly living with discipline feels natural, almost effortless. Chapter 4. Remove temptations and friction. Discipline isn't about being superhuman. It's about making things easier for yourself. Damon Zahariades explains that willpower is like a battery. The more you rely on it, the quicker it runs out. If you're constantly fighting temptations, you'll eventually give in. That's why disciplined people don't just rely on self-control. They set up their environment to minimize temptations and reduce friction. For example, if you're trying to eat healthier, don't keep chips and cookies in the house. If they're not within reach, you don't have to fight the urge every time you walk past the kitchen. Want to read more? Leave a book on your nightstand and put your phone in another room. Small adjustments like these remove decision-making struggles and make the right choice the easy one. Zahariades also points out the importance of reducing friction for good habits. If you want to exercise in the morning, set out your workout clothes the night before. If you're trying to write daily, keep a notebook open on your desk. The less effort it takes to start, the more likely you'll follow through. The big insight here is this: discipline doesn't have to be about grit and constant self-denial. It's about designing your environment so that your good habits are convenient and your bad habits are inconvenient. By removing temptation and lowering friction, you make discipline almost automatic. Chapter 5. Routines provide structure. If you want to stay disciplined, routines are your best friend. Damon Zahariades explains that routines act like a framework for your day. Instead of constantly making decisions, when to work, when to exercise, when to relax, you simply follow a set pattern. This reduces mental fatigue and frees up your energy for what really matters. Think about how much smoother your mornings are when you have a routine. You wake up, brush your teeth, make your coffee, and maybe do a quick workout or a journaling session. You don't waste time deciding what to do. You just do it. That's the power of structure. It eliminates hesitation and keeps you moving in the right direction. Zahariades also highlights that routines build consistency. Discipline thrives on repetition, and routines provide exactly that. Whether it's a morning routine to start your day with focus or an evening routine to wind down and recharge, these habits act as anchors. Even when life gets chaotic, your routines give you stability and a sense of control. The trick is to keep routines simple and realistic. Overloading them with too many steps can backfire and feel overwhelming. Start with a few key actions that align with your goals, like stretching, planning your day, or reviewing your progress, and expand gradually. The takeaway? Routines aren't about rigidity. They're about creating a rhythm that supports your discipline and makes following through almost effortless. With the right routines in place, discipline stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling natural. Chapter 6. Emotions shouldn't dictate actions. One of the biggest discipline killers is letting emotions control your behavior. Damon Zahariades points out that most of us act based on how we feel in the moment. If we're tired, we skip the workout. If we're stressed, we procrastinate. If we're bored, we reach for junk food or scroll endlessly on our phones. The problem? Feelings are temporary, but the consequences of our actions are lasting. True discipline means learning to act independently of your moods. Zahariades stresses that you don't have to feel motivated to get something done. You just have to do it. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wait until you feel like it. You simply do it because it's part of taking care of yourself. The same principle applies to bigger goals. Of course, emotions will always show up. You can't eliminate them. The key is to acknowledge them without letting them steer your decisions. For example, if you feel lazy before a workout, recognize the feeling, but remind yourself of the bigger reason why you're exercising. Then take one small action, like putting on your sneakers. That small step often overrides the resistance and gets you moving. The takeaway here is powerful. Emotions come and go, but discipline means sticking to your commitments regardless of how you feel. By learning to act in alignment with your values and goals, not your fleeting moods, you gain true control over your life. Chapter 7. Self-discipline fuels freedom. At first, the word discipline can sound restrictive, like a life full of rules and no fun. But Damon Zahariades flips that idea completely. He explains that discipline isn't about limiting yourself. It's actually about creating freedom. Think about money. If you spend recklessly, you're constantly stressed, buried in debt, and tied down by financial pressure. But if you're disciplined with saving and spending, you eventually earn the freedom to travel, invest, or retire early. The same goes for health. Without discipline, you may feel trapped by low energy, illness, or fatigue. With discipline, through exercise, sleep, and healthy eating, you enjoy the freedom to live fully and do the things you love. Zahariades argues that discipline is the bridge between where you are and the life you want. It gives you choices. Instead of being controlled by impulses or bad habits, you're in control. The short-term sacrifice of discipline, like saying no to fast food, delaying entertainment, or working on a project instead of watching TV, leads to long-term rewards that open up new opportunities. The irony is that undisciplined living feels free in the moment, but it creates chains over time. Disciplined living may feel tough at first, but it unlocks greater freedom down the road. The big lesson? Self-discipline is not a prison, it's a passport. The more disciplined you are, the more freedom you create for yourself to design the life you truly want. Chapter 8. Accountability increases commitment. It's easy to break promises to ourselves, but much harder to break them when someone else is watching. Damon Zahariades emphasizes the power of accountability in building discipline. When you make your goals public, or at least share them with someone you trust, you raise the stakes. Suddenly, quitting doesn't just let you down, it lets others down too. Accountability can take many forms. It might be telling a friend you'll hit the gym 3 times a week, joining a study group, or even posting your progress on social media. For some, hiring a coach or mentor creates that extra layer of responsibility. The point isn't to invite judgment. It's to add external support that keeps you moving forward when your motivation dips. Zahariades also highlights self-accountability systems, like tracking habits on paper, using an app, or setting up reminders. These tools make your progress visible. And when you see a streak of consistent actions building up, you'll be motivated to keep it going rather than break the chain. The real value of accountability is that it creates commitment beyond willpower. When you know someone is expecting you to show up, or when you've built a system that makes your effort visible, you're less likely to give in to excuses. The takeaway? Discipline grows stronger when it's shared. Find ways to hold yourself accountable, whether through people, tools, or both, and you'll dramatically increase your chances of staying consistent. Chapter 9. Delay gratification strengthens control. We live in a world of instant rewards. Fast food, on-demand shows, one-click shopping. Damon Zahariades reminds us that this constant craving for immediate pleasure is one of the biggest enemies of discipline. The truth is, lasting success almost always requires delaying gratification, choosing short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. Think about saving money. Spending now gives you quick satisfaction, but holding back and investing builds financial security and freedom. Or consider fitness. Skipping a workout feels good in the moment, but sticking with it leads to strength, energy, and confidence later. Zahariades argues that the ability to delay gratification is like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets. One simple trick is to pause before giving into an impulse. For example, if you're tempted to scroll on your phone or eat junk food, wait 5 minutes. That short delay helps weaken the urge and reminds you of your bigger goals. Over time, your brain learns that resisting short-term pleasure leads to greater rewards down the road. Zahariades also points out that delayed gratification doesn't mean never enjoying yourself. It means making intentional choices. You can still indulge, but in a way that doesn't derail your long-term progress. The key takeaway? The ability to wait is the ultimate form of control. By delaying gratification, you train yourself to prioritize what matters most. And that's the foundation of a truly disciplined life. Chapter 10. Failure is feedback, not final. When most people slip up, they see it as proof they're not disciplined enough, and they quit. Damon Zahariades wants us to rethink that. He argues that failure isn't the opposite of discipline. It's part of the process of building it. Every setback offers valuable feedback if you're willing to look closely. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. You didn't quit the first time you fell. You got back up, adjusted, and tried again. Discipline works the same way. Miss a workout? Overspend your budget? Lose focus at work? Instead of beating yourself up, ask, what triggered this? What can I change to prevent it next time? Those small lessons make you stronger and more prepared for the future. Zahariades also reminds us that perfection is impossible. Nobody maintains discipline 100% of the time. The difference between people who succeed and those who don't is the ability to reset quickly. Disciplined people don't wallow in guilt. They acknowledge the slip, learn from it, and get right back on track. The big shift is moving from a failure is final mindset to a failure is feedback mindset. Each stumble is an opportunity to refine your approach and strengthen your resilience. The takeaway? Discipline isn't about never falling. It's about always rising. Every time you recover from setback, you're building a stronger, more disciplined version of yourself. Conclusion. So what's the big lesson from How to Lead a Disciplined Life by Damon Zahariades? Discipline isn't about being perfect, strict, or living without joy. It's about taking control, choosing small daily actions that line up with your bigger goals, and setting yourself up for freedom, not restriction. We've seen that discipline is a skill anyone can build. It starts with clarity, knowing what you want, and grows through habits, routines, accountability, and the ability to delay gratification. And yes, failure will happen, but each setback is simply feedback. The key is getting back up and continuing forward. Think about it. What area of your life could completely change if you practice just a little more discipline each day? Maybe it's your health, your finances, your career, or even your relationships. Small choices, stacked over time, create massive results. If this summary gave you some useful insights, imagine how much more you'll gain from reading the full book. Damon Zahariades packs it with practical tips and strategies you can start using right away. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What's one area where you want to become more disciplined? Drop your answer in the comments below. I read everyone. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more audiobook summaries that save you time while giving you powerful ideas. And if you found this helpful, share it with a friend who could use a little extra motivation too. Remember, discipline isn't punishment. It's the pathway to freedom. And your journey starts today.